Oh, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Screen share is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the last class, so we have learned something about what is equilibrium. So that means when a stationary body is subjected to external force, and if the body remains in the state of rest under the action of forces, it is said to be in equilibrium. Or the resultant of all the forces acting on the body must be zero. So then only the body is said to be under equilibrium condition. Now, the principle of equilibrium. So according to this principle, the body is said to be in equilibrium if the algebraic sum of all the forces in the body should be equal to zero, and if the algebraic sum of moments of the forces about any fixed point must be equal to zero. So a body may be subjected to a concurrent force system, or it may be subjected to a non-concurrent force system. So in case of concurrent force system, the necessary and sufficient conditions for equilibrium are sigma f of x should be zero and sigma f of y should be zero. And in case of a non-concurrent force system, a body is subjected to a non-concurrent force system. So the conditions for equilibrium are the necessary conditions for equilibrium are the sum of the horizontal components must be zero, and the sum of the vertical components must be zero, and the sum of moments of all the forces with respect to any point should be equal to zero. Then only the body will be said to be under equilibrium condition. Now, the body is said to be in equilibrium if there is no translation and rotation motion of the body under the application of an external force. That means the translation motion is in the forward direction. So when a body is subjected to a force, it tries to move in the straight line path, so which is known as the translation motion. And if the body experiences the rotation motion, if it is subjected to a force, and in case of equilibrium, so both these translation motion and the rotation motion of the body are zero, correct, are zero. So hence the body is under equilibrium condition. Now, conditions of equilibrium for different force systems. So as I said, so if it is a coplanar concurrent force system, so the sum of horizontal components must be zero and the sum of vertical components must be zero. Now you can see here, you have a concurrent force system wherein it is at a point, three forces are acting at a point, F1, F2 and F3. And if you consider the horizontal components of these forces, it should be equated to zero, and the vertical components of these forces should be equal to zero. Hence, the resultant of all the forces acting on the body is equal to zero if it is a concurrent force system. Suppose a body is subjected to a non-concurrent force system. Now you can see here, it is subjected to a coplanar non-concurrent force system. So here a body is subjected to three forces, F1, F2, F3, and these two are making an angle of inclination with respect to the horizontal axis. And if you consider the sigma f of x, so here sigma f of x should be zero, sigma f of y should be zero, and the moments of all the forces with respect to any given point must be zero. Now, in case of parallel force system, since the forces are parallel to one of the reference axis, in such a case, sigma f of f will be zero, because if you have a parallel force system, then sigma f of y is zero. Because suppose if you have a parallel forces which is parallel to vertical axis or the y axis, then sigma f of y will be zero and moment will be also zero. And for non-coplanar force system, that is sigma f of x should be zero and sigma f of y should be zero, and the moment of all the forces must be equal to zero. So this is the concept behind the equilibrium of planar force system. So equilibrium is a condition wherein the body is subjected to an external force or an external agency, and it is under equilibrium condition since the resultant of all the forces acting on the body is equal to zero. Now we shall proceed with equilibrium. So what do you mean by equilibrium? So equilibrium is nothing but it is the opposite of the resultant, which acts in the opposite direction and which has the same magnitude as that of the resultant. So this equilibrium is nothing but it is acting in the opposite direction of the resultant and which has the same magnitude of the resultant. It mainly depends on the Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if you know the resultant, so equilibrium is nothing but it is the opposite of the resultant having the same magnitude. So sometimes the resultant of the force system is not equal to zero. That means the body is not in equilibrium. The force which is required to keep the body in equilibrium is known as the equilibrium. So you may have a system of forces wherein the sum of the resultant of all the forces may not be equal to zero, but you require a force which makes the entire system under equilibrium condition, which is known as the equilibrium. So equilibrium is nothing but it is the opposite of the resultant having the same magnitude. So its main purpose is to keep the entire system under equilibrium condition. Now, let us discuss an important theorem known as Lami's theorem. So, Lami's theorem states that three concurrent forces acting at a point, three concurrent forces are acting at a point, and the magnitude of each force is proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now, this is the statement of the Lami's theorem. This theorem states that if three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium condition, that means three concurrent forces acting at a point which is under equilibrium condition, then each force is directly proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. That means the magnitude of each force is directly proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now let us look at this figure. Now here at point O, three concurrent forces are acting, P, Q and R. You can see three concurrent forces are acting at a point, and the angle between these two forces, that is P and Q, is say alpha. So let us say the angle between the force R and Q is alpha, and the angle between R and P is beta, and the angle between P and Q is say gamma. So three forces are acting at a point, P, Q, R, and the corresponding angle between these two forces are alpha, beta, gamma respectively. So the Lami's theorem states that three concurrent forces are acting at a point which is under equilibrium condition. The magnitude of each force is proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now, if I want the magnitude of this force, that means here we'll be using the sine relation. So P, if I want to find the magnitude of this force P, so P divided by sine alpha. This is the upper angle between the other two forces. So the magnitude of each force is directly proportional to the angle between the other two forces. Now, if I want to find the magnitude of P, so it is nothing but P divided by sine alpha, P divided by sine alpha, Q divided by sine beta, R divided by sine gamma. So this is the derivation of Lami's theorem. So Lami's theorem states that if three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium condition, then magnitude of each force is directly proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now, let P, Q, R be the three forces acting at a point O, and let alpha, beta, gamma be the angle between the forces R and Q and P, and R, P and Q respectively. So these are the angle between the two forces. Now let us see using Lami's theorem. Using Lami's theorem, that means P divided by sine gamma, sorry, sine alpha. You can see here. If you want to find the magnitude of this force P, it is nothing but the ratio of the magnitude of this force P and the angle between the other two forces. So in our case, P divided by sine alpha, Q divided by sine beta, and R divided by sine gamma. So you can also construct the figure like this. Now this Q force is acting like this. So if you project the force Q like this, and R is acting in this direction, correct? And you have a force P acting in this direction. So now, obviously, this will be 180 minus alpha, and this will be 180 minus beta, and this will be 180 minus gamma. So similarly, P divided by 180 minus alpha, P divided by 180 minus alpha, Q divided by 180 minus beta, and R divided by 180 minus gamma. So or else you can write this also. It is P divided by sine alpha, Q divided by sine beta, and R divided by sine gamma. So it is possible to apply the Lami's theorem if only three forces are acting at a point on a particle or at a point. That means the Lami's theorem is valid only a body is subjected to three concurrent forces. Three concurrent forces. If it is more than three concurrent forces, we cannot apply the Lami's theorem. Or if it is less than three concurrent forces, then you have to use the parallelogram law. If only two forces are acting at a point, then you can use parallelogram law. Or if it is more than three forces, then you have to use the equilibrium method. That means sigma f of x should be equal to 0 and sigma f of y should be equal to 0. So Lami's theorem is valid only the body is subjected to three concurrent force system acting at a point. You can see here it is possible to apply Lami's theorem if only three forces are acting on a particle or at a point. So this is the statement and proof of Lami's theorem. So Lami's theorem states that three concurrent forces acting at a point which are under equilibrium condition. The magnitude of each force is proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now, let us say three forces P, Q are acting at a point O, and the corresponding angle between these two forces are alpha, beta, gamma respectively. So by using Lami's theorem, the magnitude of each force is proportional to sine of angle between the other two forces, that is P by sine alpha, Q by sine beta, R by sine gamma. Now this is an important theorem, Lami's theorem. So in every examination they ask state and prove Lami's theorem. First you have to make this statement, then you have to write this figure, and you have to describe all the angles alpha, beta and gamma. Then finally this is the proof, that is the magnitude of each force is proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Now, so whenever we deal with problems on equilibrium of planar force system, it is always required. It is always required a diagram known as a free body diagram. So always we need to draw a free body diagram whenever you have a problem on equilibrium of planar force system. So here a free body diagram is nothing but a line diagram. Free body diagram is a line diagram which indicates the various forces acting on the body at various locations or at various points. Now let us discuss how to draw a free body diagram. So free body diagram is a simple line diagram and showing all the forces acting at various points on a body. Now, say we have to draw a free body diagram of this. Now here you have a circular sphere and which has been connected by means of a string, and here it is resting on a horizontal plane. You can see here it is resting on a horizontal plane. A sphere of weight W is resting on a horizontal plane, and it is being connected by means of a cable or a string. Now we have to draw the free body diagram. So what are all the various forces acting on this body? Now if you draw the free body diagram, so it is a line diagram indicating all the forces acting on the body. Now this is the free body diagram of the given figure. Now you can see here the weight of the body acts vertically downwards, correct? Through the center of the sphere. The weight of the body acts vertically downwards. Now this is the component of the weight of the body acting vertically downwards. Then you will have an equivalent opposite reaction from the bottom, which acts in the opposite direction. So the weight of the body acts vertically downwards, and from this floor you will have an equivalent opposite reaction. So this reaction force is perpendicular to the plane of contact. So this is the reaction force. You can see here there is a reaction force which acts in the upward direction against the weight of the body, so which is in the upward direction, and the angle between the line of action of this reaction force with respect to the horizontal plane is 90 degree. It makes an angle 90 degree with respect to the horizontal plane. So here the weight of the body acts vertically downwards, and you have a reaction force which acts in the upward direction. And here, since it is being connected by means of a cable or string, a cable or string is subjected to two equal and opposite forces. Now you can see the two arrows here, right? A cable or a string is subjected to two tensile forces, two equal and opposite tensile forces. Now here can see this force is acting like this and this force is acting like this. Both these forces are the tension forces developed in the cable or string. Now, if I take out this one, so if I draw a imaginary line like this, if I remove this or if I disconnect this part from the entire figure, so the tension force is acting like this. You can see here, tension force is acting like this. So this is the diagram. So this diagram is known as a free body diagram. So which contains all the information regarding the various forces acting, including the weight of the sphere and the reaction force and the tension force that is developed in the string. So this is the free body diagram required for the given figure. So free body diagram. So the importance of free body diagram is in any problem under equilibrium of planar force system. First, we need to draw the free body diagram, so which gives information about all the forces acting on the member. Then we have to look in for whether it is a concurrent force system or a non-concurrent force system. So if it is a concurrent force system, then you have to select the reference axis, x and y axis, about which you are going to find the sum of horizontal components, which must be equal to 0, and the sum of vertical components, which must be equal to 0. Hence, the resultant of all the forces is 0 in case of concurrent force system. Suppose if it is a non-concurrent force system, then again we need to draw the, we need to select the reference axis. Then we need to apply the condition sigma f of x is 0, sigma f of y is 0, and the moments of all the forces with respect to any point will be equal to 0. So in the subsequent classes, we will be dealing with the problems on concurrent force system and non-concurrent force system. So there you will learn better how to draw the free body diagram of any given problem. Now here, figure 5.4 shows spherical ball on horizontal plane with the free body diagram. So this is the given problem and this is the required free body diagram. Now the description is given here. You can see figure 5.4b shows the free body diagram of the spherical ball subjected to various forces like the self weight W always acting vertically downwards. This is vertically downwards, and normal reaction. So there will be a reaction from the floor which acts in the opposite direction. Normal reaction are always acting perpendicular to the plane under consideration. So it will be at 90° normal to the plane. And tension in the spring. So this is subject to a tension force. Now, again, we have one more problem. So here you have a sphere of mass or weight W, and it is supporting against a wall, vertical wall. It is supported against a vertical wall, and it is being connected by means of a cable or a string. It is being connected by a cable or a string. Now, we have to draw the free body diagram of the given figure. Now, this is the sphere. The weight of the sphere, you can see the weight of the sphere acts vertically downwards, in the downward direction. Now, you can see here, this is the weight of the sphere acting vertically downwards. And since the sphere is making contact with the vertical side of this vertical wall or vertical side, so hence the reaction force acts in the opposite direction, correct? You have a reaction force which is perpendicular to the plane of contact. Now you can see here, this is the reaction force acting like this. And here, since it is being connected by means of a cable or string, it is subjected to a tensile force. Now you can see here, this is the tension force. Now, this figure is known as the free body diagram. Now, problems on equilibrium of coplanar concurrent force system. So here he has given the tips to solve the problems. In the coplanar concurrent force system, two conditions of equilibrium can be applied. That means, in case of concurrent forces, these are the necessary and sufficient conditions. Sigma f of x is 0 and sigma f of y is 0. And if it is a concurrent force system, either you can solve by equilibrium method or you can also solve by Lami's theorem method. But the Lami's theorem method is applicable only when the body is subjected to three concurrent forces. If it is subjected to two concurrent forces or more than three concurrent forces, you cannot apply the Lami's theorem. Only if the body is subjected to three concurrent force system, you can apply the Lami's theorem, or else you have to apply the equilibrium method, wherein sigma f of x is 0 and sigma f of y is 0. Now, let us deal with one of the problem. So, determine the magnitude and direction of the force P, which keeps the concurrent system in equilibrium. So, now here you have four forces acting in different quadrant, but you have to find the magnitude of this force, the magnitude and as well as the direction of this force. So, which keeps the entire system under equilibrium condition. Now here you have in first quadrant you have 100 root 2 Newton force, and in second quadrant also you have 100 root 2 Newton force. The corresponding angles are 45 and 45. And in the fourth quadrant you have a 100 Newton force, which makes an angle 30 degree with respect to the horizontal. And this is an unknown force. Its magnitude and direction is not known. So you have to find the magnitude and direction, so which keeps the entire thing under equilibrium condition. Now, first always select the reference axis, x and y. And now write the condition. This is a concurrent force system. So the necessary and sufficient conditions for equilibrium are sigma f of x should be equated to 0 and sigma f of y should be equated to 0. Now let us resolve. So first you consider sigma f of x. Sigma f of x plus 100 root 2 cos 45 plus 100 root 2 cos 45 minus 100 root 2 cos 45. Both get cancelled, correct? Here it is plus 100 root 2 cos 45 and it is minus 100 root 2 cos 45. Next, minus p cos theta plus 100 cos 30 should be equal to 0. So these two gets cancelled. So minus p cos theta, if you take it onto the other side, p cos theta will be equal to 100 cos 30. 100 cos 30. So similarly, sigma f of y we have to calculate. Sigma f of y is 100 root 2 sine 45, 100 root 2 sine 45 plus 100 root 2 sine 45 plus 100 root 2 sine 45 minus p sine theta minus p sine theta minus 100 sine 30, 100 sine 30. So thereby we will get that should be equal to 0 because we have to equate it to 0 because these are the necessary and sufficient conditions for equilibrium. So you will get p sine theta is equal to some value and p cos theta is equal to some value. So p sine theta by cos theta is equal to pp gets cancelled. So you'll get tan theta. Tan theta, theta is tan inverse, whatever p sine theta value and p cos theta value. So you'll get the angle. Once you get the angle, you can find from any one of the equation, you can find the magnitude of this force, unknown force P. Now let us look at the solution part. Applying two conditions of equilibrium to calculate the magnitude and direction of the unknown force. Now sigma f of x is 0. So minus p cos theta minus 100 root 2 cos 45 plus 100 root 2 cos 45 plus 100 cos 30 is equal to 0. So thereby you will get p cos theta as 100 cos 30 or p cos theta is equal to 86.603. So similarly, sigma f of y is minus p sin theta plus 100 root 2 sin 45 plus 100 root 2 sin 45 minus 100 sin 30. So it works out to be somewhere it is p sin theta is 150. So p sin theta by p cos theta. So tan theta. So theta is 60 degree. Now in any one of the equation, you can substitute the value of theta as 60 degree. Then you will get the magnitude of the unknown force. P is 173.2 Newton. So is it clear? Any doubts? Anybody? Hello? Anyone is having any doubts regarding free body diagram or any other concept?
No, sir.
Am I audible or not?
Audible, sir.
Next one, next problem. Hello? Varun? Mr. Varun, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts with this concept?
No, sir.
Speak loudly, I can't hear.
No,
Purushottam?
sir.
Mr. Purushottam,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
Basaraj, Ganiga,
Yes, sir.
ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯೇನಪ್ಪ?
Yes, sir.
ಸೊ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಬಿಲಾಂಗ್ಸ್ ಟು ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್? Anyone? Okay. So tomorrow we will continue the class. So I request all of you to mark your attendance in the chat box. I'll be closing the session. So tomorrow we shall solve some more problems on concurrent force system, equilibrium of planar force system under concurrent force system. So tomorrow we shall continue the class. Okay. So I'll be ending the session.